Hi, my name is Robert. Please read the comments in the About section of this video. It has valuable information and updates. My YouTube channel has a disclaimer video that I encourage you to watch. And please like, share, and subscribe. I hope you found what you're looking for. Thank you very much for watching. In this video, I want to share with you what I believe is the top tips for gas saving in your car or truck. Just think, if you pulled up to your favorite gas station and one pump was selling gas for $2.75, and the pump right next to it, the gas was priced at $2.20. Which pump would you pump from? I bet you would pump from that one with $2.20. You would probably feel like you were stealing from the folks, like somebody inside the station that works there actually programmed that pump with a lower price. And that's basically what you'll be doing if you learn gas saving tips and cause your car to get better gas mileage per gallon. Now, I'm going to share what I believe are the top tips. And there's other things that can affect your gas mileage, but in general, if you're able to follow and do these things, you can chip away at poor gas mileage and cause your vehicle to get better gas mileage. Basically, here's the breakdown. They claim that the average person in the USA drives 15,000 miles a year. Let's say, for instance, you're getting 20 miles to the gallon instead of 20% better, which would be 24 miles to the gallon. I have actually made those improvements and currently do have those improvements over most people. So, let's say gas per gallon is $2.50, the kind of gas you pump. So instead of spending $1,875 a year traveling 15,000 miles, you'll actually spend $1,562 a year. That is a savings of over $300 a year. Let me ask you this. If you had $300 in your pocket when you walked into, let's say, your sister's house, and when you went to leave, there was $300 missing, would you have a problem? Would you have a problem leaving? Would you want to know who took that $300 from you? Essentially, if you're not trying to get 10 or 20% better gas mileage out of your car, you could be losing $300 a year. Well, let's put that behind us and get started trying to help you get the absolute best gas mileage. A lot of these tips are not really big deals, but when you add them all up, they can make a significant difference. One tip you want to do is lighten the load. You do not want to have all this crap in your car at all times. I've seen people's car full up to the window sills. Empty your car from unnecessary stuff. That will save you anywhere from a half mile to the gallon up as high as 3 miles to the gallon. The next tip, make sure you have proper tire pressure in your car. You don't want these tires running low. If you're running 20 psi instead of the recommended 25 psi or even 29 psi, that could be costing you critical gas mileage. Inside your car or door panel somewhere, it'll tell you what kind of fuel pressure you're supposed to be running. On this car, my front wheel's supposed to have 32, my rear wheels are supposed to have 29. You don't want to be running 25 and stuff like that. Now, if you really want to get greedy, you may want to run 2 psi over. I will not recommend any more than 2 psi over because your tires are the first line of defense in absorbing harsh road conditions. Cracks in the road, bumps in the road, stuff like that. And if you overinflate your tires too much, it will not absorb the minor imperfections in the road the way it's supposed to. It'll transmit that abuse to your shocks and other suspension parts, and that will destroy your shocks and other suspension parts, which will cost you money in the long run. So, make sure you have the correct tire pressure, maybe 2 psi more. Another tip, Drive with your windows closed. I know we all like fresh air. Unfortunately, your car is designed and has a drag efficiency. These cars is something like the drag efficiency, something like 0.32. Well, when you have your windows open, that creates drag on the car. And that drag will cost you fuel economy. If you're on the highway, it'll cost you more than around town, probably a half to 1 mile per gallon. Next tip, you want to make sure that you're running the recommended fuel that's recommended by your car manufacturer. As you see here in my owner's manual, it recommends that I run 91 octane. It recommends a minimum of 87. So, you can run 87 because by law, the manufacturers are required to make sure that your car can run on 87, but it's recommended that I run at 91. My experience is that I get a little bit better gas mileage when I run 91 versus 87 or 89. Now, the difference usually makes up for the cost. However, my car is running on a gas that it's recommended to use. It will probably run cleaner, run better, and will probably have less wear and tear on my ignition parts and other parts in the car because I'm running the right recommended octane. That'll save me money in the long run. It may not save me on the gas pump, but it will definitely save me in the long run. Now, usually that's about a 10% difference in the gas price. One vehicle that I actually ran the test in, I was getting 15% better gas mileage. So, that was offsetting the cost and giving me better gas mileage. The next tip can make a difference anywhere from 1 or 2 miles to the gallon as high as 4 or 5 miles to the gallon. And that is, make sure that your car is properly tuned up. Also, you want to use the parts that are recommended to be used by the manufacturer. One thing people don't realize, a mass airflow sensor. That sensor will wear and degrade over time. You may want to replace those every 100,000 miles. You want to make sure your air filter is changed, clean, as recommended. If you live in an area where you're driving off-road, you'll probably have to change your air filter every 10,000 miles. If you're driving in a place where you never see dirt, 20 or 30,000 miles may be sufficient. You want to change your spark plugs with the kind recommended. Don't let people upsell you to the iridium plugs if your car was not designed to run on those. Number one, it may affect your fuel economy. Number two, they probably won't last as long as the ones recommended. If you have an old car like mine and you have ignition wires, you want to replace those. I normally replace those every 10 years or 100,000 miles. If you have coil packs on top of the car, you want to replace those. The first sign of them cracking or causing misfires. That may be every 100,000 miles. It may be every 150. They rarely last more than 150,000 miles. Your spark plugs. Check your owner's manual. See how often you're supposed to replace those. Every 30,000, 50,000, 60,000, or some 100,000. You want to do what's recommended by the owner's manual. They may last longer, but I promise you, if they're wore out, the gap's not right, things like that, it will be costing you at the pump. Here in my owner's manual, it tells me how often to replace the oil and filter. It tells me to replace the air filter every 30,000 miles. It tells me to replace the spark plugs every 30,000 miles. So you want to keep up with the maintenance schedule on your car. Another thing I do, I run full synthetic engine oil. They say it lubricates the parts better. It helps lubricate the engine internal parts. Less resistance, less wear, possibly better fuel economy. When I check using regular oil versus full synthetic, I normally only see about a half mile or 1 mile to the gallon better. But hey, every little bit counts and it adds up. Last but not least, and this is a very big deal, it can make a drastic difference in your mile per gallon, and that is your driving characteristics and habits. I bought a tool called a scan gauge. That scan gauge has a real-time live mile per gallon monitor. It has a trip mile per gallon monitor, and it has a tank mile per gallon monitor. It even tells me how much it costs when I enter in what I pay for fuel, what it costs for me to drive from point A to point B. One thing I learned in using that, subliminally, that played a game with me in trying to get better gas mileage. I had a car. It was a 1997 Volvo 960. That car is rated 19 miles a gallon around town, 22 or 23 miles to the gallon on the highway. Basically, that is about what I was getting. However, after using that scan gauge and that thing training me how to drive my car at a better habits, my gas mileage went up from 19 to 21 all the way up to 24 miles to the gallon. My highway mileage went up from 24 miles to the gallon all the way up to 28, 29 miles to the gallon. One day I actually got 31 miles to the gallon because I learned where the sweet spot was when driving on the highway. So, you want to learn how to drive in an economical way. Racing from one traffic light to the other will often cost you money. Learning how to drive in a hyper mill style and fashion can save you as much as 4 to 5 miles to the gallon in driving your car. Bottom line, I hear from people all the time that claim that they're getting 16, 17 miles to the gallon in their car, while I'm consistently getting 22 around town. They tell me they get 22, 23 miles to the gallon on the highway, when it's easy for me to get 28 miles to the gallon on the highway with the very same car. So, learn how to take care of your vehicle, use these tips, adjust your driving habits, and save in the long run. The first year that I had my scan gauge, I calculated that I saved over $570 in gas. Now, I was driving about 35,000 miles a year. Nonetheless, that's another nearly $600 that I had in my pocket. And those things are things that you just can't ignore. So, take these tips, apply them, get better gas mileage, and I hope it helped. Thank you for watching. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.